I'm a sucker for a dare. When a friend dared me to pierce my belly button, I was first in line to get it done. The injection site got horribly infected, and I needed to seek medical assistance to get the ring out and take a round of antibiotics. During my 21st birthday celebrations, a roommate dared me to dirty dance with a lightning pole in the middle of the street. There's still a video of it somewhere. Now, despite the obvious challenges with being a sucker for the dare, the real issue was I wanted to be a diplomat. And to be a diplomat, I was going to need knowledge, wisdom, and to be on my best behavior if I was going to communicate and bring peace across cultures. The first step to get this knowledge was to get a fish tattoo in the small of my back. A friend may have double dared me. But this wasn't just any fish tattoo. This was the salmon of knowledge. Irish legend has it, the first person to taste the flesh of the salmon would have all the wisdom in the world. This was my commitment to wisdom. Not long after, I got a job offer to teach English in rural Japan. I signed immediately on the dotted line, despite knowing nothing about Japan. Some people call me impulsive. I called it embracing the present moment. I was leaving in a month, and in the frenzy of saying goodbye and packing, I lost track of time. The program coordinator, George, sent me a 10-page orientation packet to read, which I barely skimmed. I mean, how different could Japan be from Wisconsin? I had a misstep right off the plane. I hugged the high-level Japanese government official that came to meet me at the arrival gate, and it wasn't a polite, "It's nice to meet you." It was a full-on Midwest, "I'm so excited to meet you." He misunderstood my hug as an attempt to get in his pants. Now, for the record, he wasn't my type. But I did receive a swift phone call from George, the program coordinator back in the United States. "Chrissy, look around. Even married couples don't touch each other. Keep your hands to yourself. And please, no more incidents." Noted. I wasn't going to let George down again. The school officials hosted a welcome dinner for me at the local restaurant. I was seated at the head table as the guest of honor. As the guest of honor, I received my dinner first in a box placed in front of me. I lifted the lid of the box and discovered an eelhead lying on a bed of the fluffiest white rice I've ever seen. Its eyes were still open and looking at me. I had a flashback to the orientation packet where I remember reading that not eating what your Japanese host gives you is considered disrespectful. And I promised George no more incidents. Now, I'm not an adventurous eater. Adding arugula to my salad is adventurous. This was fear factor level shit. I put my best American smile on to put my host at ease, but inside, I was shaking, panicking, sweating. I couldn't even look at this eelhead. How the fuck was I gonna eat it? As if on cue, the waiter came over with a beer. I had my answer. If I could drink enough beer, I could have the courage to maybe choke down a couple bites of this eelhead. Now, for one fleeting moment, I did think whether this was the best plan of action, but this was not a time to think. This was a time to act. U.S.-Japanese relations were on the line. The rest of the night is a little bit fuzzy. I did manage to eat a couple bites of that eel head. Crisis averted. I smugly thought to myself, "You're welcome, George." At some point, I stumbled over to the teacher's table. We were all drinking and laughing. And since I couldn't really speak Japanese, the conversation quickly descended into a game of charades. During one particularly lively gesture, I exposed my lower back. "Chrissy, you have a tattoo?" Obi, one of the Japanese teachers that could speak English, was in shock. The teachers went silent. I looked at Obi, confused about why this was so surprising. And then he leaned over, clearly drunk, and smiled. "I dare you to show your tattoo to the principal." Now, where I come from, dares are serious business. And I was all business. I stood up and I walked confidently over to the head table. I waved to get the principal's attention. And then I could see Obi trying to stop me, but I wasn't going to check it out now. I pulled down my pants, probably too far if I'm honest, and showed off the tattoo to the principal. Now, before I could see the principal's reaction, Obi whisked me out of the restaurant. "Obi, where are we going? I don't want to miss the karaoke part." "Chrissy, you're not going anywhere but home." And then he seemed a little bit nervous. "I mean, I can't believe you did that. I dared you as a joke. I didn't think you'd really do it." Well, the joke was on Obi. I took dare seriously and I had gotten it done. But I wasn't worried. I mean, I had done what needed to be done. I had eaten the eelhead and I had effectively communicated across the language barrier. Clearly, I was winning. The next day at school, I learned I was not winning. Obi stopped by the teacher's room. "Chrissy, the school leadership is in an emergency meeting debating whether you are a member of the Yakuza. It doesn't look good for you." Now, I remembered reading about the Yakuza, a violent Japanese gang famous for extortion and drug trafficking, in the orientation packet. How on earth could I be a member of the Yakuza? Before I could ask the question, Obi had already answered it. "Your tattoo, Chrissy. Only Yakuza members have tattoos in Japan." I paced around that teacher's room for what felt like hours. Was I going to be fired? Sent home? Worse, arrested? Was the U.S. Embassy going to have to get involved? And what did my future as a diplomat look like? Obi stopped by after the meeting. The principal has decided you're not a member of the Yakuza, but you're not invited to any more staff drinking parties. I was mostly relieved by this news, although not being invited to staff drinking parties kind of hurt. But what I realized is I had failed the salmon of knowledge in a big way, like fall flat on your face fail. I never thought I'd recover. But I was on my best behavior for the rest of the year, and I'm happy to report I did eventually get invited back to those staff drinking parties. I even got invited to the karaoke after party. And when Obi dared me to sing Madonna's Like a Virgin after too many beers, I declined. Maybe there's hope for me as a diplomat after all.